what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm gonna do.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Like, because it's become more like your vision, and it's probably something you think about on a daily basis. Or you probably you talk about earlier when we were just in first watch about like you have big goals and you have small goals, and it sounds like you actually have them written down.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you like just the ability for you to write it down on a piece of paper. Like, have you ever heard of? There was a study out there from Harvard.
Yeah.
And they tracked people that wrote down their goals versus didn't write down their goals. And I think these people that the people that participated in the study were like involved in like the master's program or something. I could be wrong, but regardless, they took two groups who wrote goals down and who didn't write goals down. And the people that did write down goals were like so much more successful in attaining their goals versus people that didn't. Like, it was astronomical, the difference.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show you, just continue having that reinforcement of visualization, seeing the direction you want to go with your life and what you want to accomplish can continue to allow you to succeed in what you want to do in life. And it's such an easy habit, but at the same time, or practice, but at the same time, it's overlooked. And it's
been a really long time since I watched that movie, The Secret. Have you seen that?
No, I don't.
You've never seen that? You would love that movie.
The Secret. What time frame? What's the when was it?
All right, so it's about. I want to show you the little intro thing because it's really hard for me to
describe
explain.
it.
Yeah. Basically, the law of attraction amplified. Like it's like a different, on another level. Doesn't seem like there's a couple. No, that's an hour. We don't want to do that. Use my broken phone.
Commercial real quick. I'm still on a loop on movies. I haven't watched a movie in a long
love
time.
movies.
I love movies too. It's just Gregory Legendary presents. Is this a recent movie? Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith. Is this the same thing?
No, that's like 5 years.
Secret quotes.
Maybe it's not this.
Is this it? Doctor. This might not be it.
Yeah, he's not.
Plus, it says it's in 4K.
He's not looking like.
Misled on the
I
title on the
remember.
YouTube video.
Anyhow, God, that one's 4 hours. They must have remade it
It might.
a bunch of times. I don't remember it being 4 hours long. But anyway, so yeah, it's about the law of attraction. What you put out is what you get back, and having a perspective on everything, not being so me, now, instant gratification. Because actually instant gratification is what gets you in trouble 90% of the time. So being willing to wait and being patient and letting things just happen as they're supposed to happen instead of rushing things is a big thing that I've learned in terms of, because I'm an Aries. I don't know if you know anything about that, and I don't believe everything about it, but that if you read the description, that's me to a T.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very if I have something in my head, that's what's going to happen.
That makes sense too, because whatever your thoughts or attitudes or ideas you have in your head, that's generally how you're going to act upon them.
But some people have some thoughts and then they're and then they linger and then they never happen or they don't even try. My personality is, okay, this is what I want. My butt's gonna get that,
right.
And it's just period. That's what's gonna happen.
Oh yeah, that part.
So
That's can be the case for sure.
But I've learned to take a step back. You have to let, because sometimes if you rush, I've learned with the producers, for instance, I was working with a producer who I wanted to work with so bad because he was on a whole bunch of famous people's records, right?
Yeah.
And come to find out that he was credited for creative director and not for actual producer, which is a completely different thing. So he was portraying himself one way when he wasn't, and I just went for it because I wanted it so bad when I should have taken a step back and really looked at it all, and then I would have known off the bat instead of having to do this whole big thing about breaking it off and having him salty about it.
Okay. Yeah. But that's the beauty of coming to those realizations, because then you learn from them and you're well, you know what? I don't want that to happen again. And such. Yeah, I'm a big proponent just the notion of just surrender yourself to whatever happens.
Yeah.
Because then when you do that, anything that happens to you is for your benefit because you learn from it.
Yeah.
No matter how bad or good the experience is, you're always going to gain experience from it.
That's true.
So,
Sorry, I got distracted by
No,
this
you're fine.
little
There was,
person with this really
There was
tall
like
guy.
5 or 6 people who just like walked past us every second of
Well,
time.
I was watching them across the
Oh.
parking lot. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like,
This
I
is why
could
I
never
wanna-
date
this
like
is
a
why-
super tall person because I'm so small. And she was
Hi,
like,
dude.
the whole time.
Well, those like relationships exist all the time, though. Like, I don't know on that show, like the show you were just talking about, the big.
My Giant Life.
Yeah, I don't know if they go into much of like their dating life or whatever, but
Yeah, the girl who's like 6'7" is dating a 5'10". He's
Wow.
5'10".
it's about my height almost. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking up.
And okay, so they got married. This is weird. So they got married on the show, and he washed her feet, like as a part of the ceremony, and it was like a symbol of his willingness to like serve her, right? And I thought that is something else. I have never seen anything like that. Like, where would they have got that from?
It could have been like a mixture of like something they pulled from some other ceremony, but they add their own twist.
Right.
And I don't know, the feet could be represent something to
I
them.
just no.
Just-
You're not gonna wash my feet in front of our families. Like, I would never have anybody do that to me. Because first of all, that must be embarrassing. Wouldn't that be embarrassing? No, maybe not. I mean, maybe that's just like a societal like restraint.
For
That's me having a societal restraint on my thought process right there.
yeah, it's you like hearing of an action that got performed by 2 people and like building, associating like your own story to it. You attach like your own narrative to it. Then based on that, then you have emotions built towards it,
Right.
which are like
Preset by someone else, not even myself.
Yeah.
That irritates me. That everybody has that, depending on where you grew up and what culture you were raised in and whatever time period
Yeah,
and
the more you
everything
become
else.
aware of it, then the less you find yourself like having those moments. You're like, wait a second, why am I
thinking
why
like
am I
that?
even
Yeah.
thinking like that? Like, yeah. Like, as far as like you always hear like don't judge a person until you like wear their shoes or whatever. Like, there's a bunch of different like phrases or quotes you can
Cover
say
of
about
the
that, but
book
like
and wearing their
it's so it's so funny. There's so many like quotes that exist that pertain to not judging one by your own principles but by their principles. It's such an easy concept to think about, but you're like, gosh darn, it's so hard not to do it though.
Well, I find it,
Can be.
yeah, but like for instance with like my daughter's father, like regardless of the emotion that I have towards how shitty of a person he's been, like I still have the sense now because of who I've become to look at it, like take myself out of the situation and look at it from like in his head. Like, where is he in his head? Not how I feel about it, not, my emotions about it, but like, why? Where was he at in his head? Where is he at in his head? And then I feel empathy for him regardless, Like, and same thing with any alcoholic or drug addict or whatever. Like, there is an empathy to be felt no matter what shitty thing that they've done. There's a reason they're at that point. Like what brought them to their knees? Because at that point, you're at your knees,
Yeah.
at the mercy of, really, you're at the mercy of your emotion in the moment to make you go out and do whatever thing. You have
Oh,
no
yeah.
self-control, no
Yeah.
awareness of yourself. And so I have empathy for that because that's a shitty place to be,
Tremendous, yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I don't know. Some people it takes like a traumatic event or like maybe going to jail or getting beat up or like something to like jolt them back into reality, back into themselves, into acceptance that they are in control. They are in control. You are in control to a certain extent. Like there are external factors, but like you don't have to be at the mercy of your every feeling, every second,
Yeah.
Because that's really what leads people to do stuff like that. They're at the mercy of their every feeling at every second. I feel bad for right this second, so I want to make it go away.
Right. Again, kind of goes back to like instant gratification. Like, I just want to get rid of it right away.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. Yeah. A
Yeah.
lot of times we just have to face up and own the feeling we're having because that's the healthiest way to go about it. And yeah, it sucks in the time, but you just gotta go through the.
And it will pass, and
yeah.
it'll be over.
Nothing lasts. Like another saying, like nothing lasts forever.
Yeah.
Like unfortunately, it's an easy thing to say, but like, gosh
It's
darn, that's
true.
a hard one too. Like,
Everything, I say that to Savannah all the time. Everything ends good or bad.
Yeah.
So it'll end. Whatever it is.
Would
So
it
yeah.
be interesting, like, just as far as like how we communicate to little kids? What if we communicated? How we communicate to little kids is the same way we communicate to everybody, like no matter what the age is. Like that'd be kind of funny, because then it's like you're talking to people that don't have a concept of time. Then so then everything becomes amplified.
Have you seen The Invention of Lying?
No.
You should watch that.
Is
That
it a
is
movie, or-
hilarious. Yeah, it's a movie. It's a comedy. And so, like, it's based on a world where nobody knows how to lie. Like, nobody's said a lie ever. They just don't know how. And so everybody tells the truth 100% of the time, and it is hysterical. Okay, so this guy finally realizes that he can lie. The girl, and so he
Sounds like a
makes
funny
up.
concept.
He makes up the concept of God, right? And so he's like a prophet to these people now, where he's like, and God said, don't do this and that, and so then he comes to the realization that even though he's so unique that he can lie, and that has brought him success and money and this hot wife and all this stuff, that he's unhappy.
Yeah.
Like, he thought he wanted all these things, and then he realizes that he's unhappy because the way he got them,
Gotcha.
you know,
Yeah.
which is so true to life. If you don't get things honestly, you'll be sitting in a big fancy house with a hot wife or whatever, and you'll be unhappy,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
you know, and that happens over and over and over
Does,
again.
does, yeah.
Yeah, which is why people who win the lottery, like, majority of them end up dead or in prison or broke.
Yeah, well, then have to go through that struggle, that challenge, or that drudgery in order to obtain that wealth. And like
Right.
through that process, that's when you actually learn more about yourself.
Grow.
And you develop all these habits, these mindsets, these perspectives that allow you to handle something like that, and have an understanding of what it fully means to have something like that, where you can do something worthwhile with it, with the purpose, with the value,
Right.
to affect others, not just yourself, kind of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
And, in a lot of ways, it's like a disservice to somebody's life by just handing them all that money, essentially, for.
Which is that trust fund babies, is what I call them. Like, that's the same thing.
Surely, I mean, there's certainly going to be trust fund babies that have like a awareness attached to like what it means to have that money. Like, they do good with it, but like you definitely have a lot of trust fund babies too that are just
Yeah.
a lot of snobby. They're just not the most beautiful human beings on this planet, as far as when it comes to doings and such.
Well, okay, so I was getting accused a lot of being a brat, because I've been fairly well taken care of my whole life, right? So I haven't had to do things that normal people have had to do. I'm not a trust fund baby, but I haven't had to worry. You know, I never have to worry if I'm going to have somewhere to live, or if I'm going to have food or whatever. Like, and I can do things that I love to do and not have to worry about
Right.
the effect.
Right.
So I understand that mindset, but at the same time, like, you're not happy because, like, you didn't do it yourself. Like you're saying, you didn't put hard work in yourself. You didn't figure it out yourself, and then you're like, well, I do feel kind of silly that I haven't done. And so, you know, before the accident, like, I was going to school and I was working and I always had my own, but now I'm at a place where, like, I want to do everything on my own, and I don't want cars bought or like whatever. I want to get it on my own. I know that sounds stupid to be 30 and doing it now, but like, I never had to. So
Right.
just how I grew up, I never had to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And the reality is, though, like, whatever we do or whatever we accomplish, we never do on like our own. Though at the same time, I got a really good like Albert Einstein quote. I should bust out. I've said it before I'm gonna bust it out. It's actually on my phone right now, but I also have it written down. But yeah, we're gonna also conclude the podcast by doing one more thing, which I think you'll enjoy doing as an exercise.
Cool.
Oh, good camera skills. The lovely Amanda Marie with fixing the camera coming through. Yeah, I got this really good quote that I actually learned from when I did another podcast with one of my.
So do you like write notes down every time you think of something you want to like hold on to?
Yeah, I should have actually been writing some things down when we were talking, but it just slipped my mind because I was using it for the camera. So, pertaining back to, like, we all get support from people or from groups of people or from a certain person in our successes and such. Like this Albert Einstein quote: "Many times a day I realize how much my outer and inner life is built upon the labors of my fellow men, both living and dead, and how earnestly I must exert myself in order to give in return as much as I have like received." It's like, I always think about, like, say if you were just like going off like educating yourself through like a documentary, like this documentary, or even books that have been written like a long time ago with the author's not even alive anymore. That author wrote the book, but he would never know that like you were reading it like 50 or 60 years later and how it impacted your life. but like he would have played an instrumental role in just like building